Coco Gauff makes WTA history despite ending the season as world number 3. Coco Gauff was at the very top of a dreaded list of the WTA, the unwanted list, a spot no player ever wants. Jump to the present time, and she is on a totally different list, the one every young tennis player would love to be on at the age of 21. So which list is it? Well, we know Gauff ended the year at world number 3. And it was her third consecutive season in the WTA top 3. That achievement makes her the youngest woman this century to reach 3 straight seasons among the elite. So far this season, she has won 48 matches, claimed 2 singles titles, and shown growth. Each of her last 3 seasons has had a crowning moment: the US Open in 2023, the WTA Finals in 2024, and a second Grand Slam title at Roland Garros in 2025. Along the way, she's become just the 8th player since 2000 to record 3 or more consecutive top 3 finishes. So yes, she's in elite company alongside Venus Williams and Iga Swiatek. Sure, this season, Coco Gauff's run ended at the WTA Finals in Riyadh. In that she fell to Aryna Sabalenka 7-6, 5, 6-2. But one defeat could not take away her year. Her second Grand Slam at Roland was her statement: she can also win on clay. Quarterfinal at an Australian Open, a win in Wuhan, a final in Madrid and Rome, a win in the United Cup with Team USA, and you wonder how her game has become full. Also, this year, she became the first American woman since Serena Williams to win Roland Garros. Then last year, in the WTA Finals, she became the youngest champion of that event in 20 years and the first American to win it since Serena in 2014. So if she is achieving all this, why did her name appear on the unwanted list in the first place? Coco Gauff's one problem that refused to stay hidden. We know 2025 was a great year for Coco Gauff. She won big matches, lifted important trophies, and finished the season as world number 3. But even with all the highs, there were still a few problems hiding underneath, and one of them pushed her onto a list no player wants to lead. Across the season, Coco ended up recording more double faults than anyone else on the WTA Tour. She finished the year with 431, a number far higher than the rest of the field. Ekaterina Alexandrova followed with 300, then came Alicia Parks, Linda Noskova, Marta Kostyuk, and several others. The gap between Coco Gauff and the rest shows how much her serve has struggled at times. This issue has been around for more than one season, too. Last year, she crossed the 400 mark as well, the only player to do so. It might appear that a double fault is a small error, but when they continue to be shown, they begin forming matches. They give out free points, stop momentum, and put pressure on the critical moments. The game of Coco at the baseline is powerful. Her moves are on a high level, and her psychological strength is indisputable. However, it is this flaw that continued to drag her back. That is why she appeared on the list of unwanted athletes in a year that had been highly successful. The 2025 WTA season ended not with a coronation but with a celebration, one built not on rankings alone, but on something rarer and far more powerful, a season that rewrote history with the tone of a rising dynasty. Coco Gauff, finishing as world number 3, may not have claimed the year-end throne, but she claimed something else, something that vibrated louder across the tennis universe. She made history. And she did it in a way that only Coco Gauff could, through resilience, reinvention, leadership, fire, and a year so full of defining moments that fans began calling it the Coco era in progress. A season of layers, not just numbers. Rankings alone could never tell the story of 2025. Yes, she finished behind Iga Swiatek and Aryna Sabalenka, 2 titans who traded titles like heavyweight boxers trading blows. Yes, there were heartbreaks, narrow losses, tiebreak chaos, and nights when the serve deserted her like a runaway carousel. But the ranking didn't matter. Because what Coco Gauff accomplished this year transcended arithmetic. She became the first American since Serena Williams to reach the semifinals or better at every slam in a single season. The youngest player in over a decade to finish top 3 years straight. And the face of American tennis, in a year where the sport desperately needed a news story. But even these accomplishments were only footnotes in what made this season historic. The Australian Awakening. The journey began in Melbourne, where the summer heat felt like a prophecy. Gauff played with an aggressive clarity she hadn't shown since her US Open triumph. The backhand returned like a lightning bolt. The forehand, once criticized, became a weapon sculpted by months of work. She didn't win the title. She didn't need to. Her semi-final run confirmed something larger. Her game had matured, and the tour could feel it. A clay season that felt like a breakthrough, not a battle. The red dirt had always felt like borrowed territory. But this year? Coco Gauff walked onto clay like it was a second home. She won titles in Charleston and Stuttgart. She reached her first Roland Garros final since 2022, battling Swiatek with a defiant fire that earned standing ovations even in defeat. And along the way, Coco broke another barrier. She became the first American woman since Venus Williams, 2002, to make 3 straight French Open semi-finals. History was no longer a surprise. It was a pattern. Wimbledon, a story of poise in the storm. Wimbledon tested her in ways no surface had before. A first-week scare. 2 rain delays. A 4th-round match that felt like a 5-act Shakespeare drama. Yet she prevailed, reaching the semi-finals and reaffirming that all surfaces, grass, clay, hard, now bowed before her consistency. She became the American player with the most slam semi-final appearances before turning 23. And she did it with a sense of calm so unshakable that commentators began calling her the architect, the player who could build wins out of thin air. The US Open, the title defense that became a movement. The highlight, perhaps the heartbeat, of her historic season came under the New York skyline. Defending a Grand Slam is never easy. Defending it under the weight of expectations from an entire nation is something else entirely. The crowds came wearing Coco's shirts. Children carried posters that read, "She inspires me." Broadcasters spoke of her as the present of American tennis, not the future. She reached the final, not dropping a set until the semifinals. She didn't defend the trophy, but she defended something deeper. Her identity as a champion. Even defeat couldn't dim the electricity. New York walked away convinced. This was her era beginning, not her era fading. The autumn that cemented her legacy. As the WTA shifted to Asia and the Middle East, Gauff entered the final stretch with renewed energy rather than fatigue. She made the Beijing final, the Tokyo semifinal, and the WTA finals semifinals, each run further solidifying her statistical and historical footprint. But the real milestone? She became the first player in WTA history under 23 to earn 3+ slam semifinals, 5+ finals across 3 surfaces, and over 70 match wins in a single year. This was the moment tennis historians circled red on their calendars. Not because of the trophy she lifted, but because of the player she proved she had become.